Rouse's Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodeau, Houma, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number one. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number one grocery store
In Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouse's.
All right, we are back. It's another segment of Good Vibes. I'm Martin Falls. Debbie Cox-DeNova
Hi.
is in the house. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, it's good. Boy, I love the weather out there today.
Yes.
All right, topic today, developing emotional intelligence.
Yes.
What's that all about?
Oh, this is such a fun topic because look, people who have an emotional intelligence are more likely to be successful, influential, have stronger connections. In the high performers of jobs, 90% of them show emotional intelligence. And so we've all heard emotional intelligence, but some of us may be like, what is that exactly? Well, basically, it's just the ability to understand your emotions, to actually harness them toward action, and to help regulate your own emotions and the emotions of others. So this requires a great understanding of the way that our mind works. And this is a very broad topic, so I'm going to pluck some stuff out of there that may be very common, that's going to resonate for a lot of people. So the first one, I want to begin with a story. In the 1950s in the United States, there was a cult, and they believed that the whole world was going to flood on December 21st, 1954.
Okay.
So some of them were so convinced of this that they quit their jobs, they gave away their possessions. And so, of course, then rolls around December 22nd, and there was that awkward discomfort, right, that the group was feeling. Now, as it turns out, this group would add a lot to the field of psychology because there were 3 social psychologists that had infiltrated the group in order to study them. And one of them, by the name of Leon Festinger, actually named the uncomfortable experience that the group was going through, having believed that the world was going to flood and now seeing that the world was not flooding, as cognitive dissonance. And now there's a huge body of research on cognitive dissonance.
I've heard that.
Yes. Okay. So cognitive dissonance basically is that unique discomfort that we have when there is something that we have learned, new information that we have learned that challenges an existing belief about the world or a belief about who we are in the world. The brain doesn't like to hold on to 2 conflicting ideas. And so there's this discomfort that causes us to want to kind of ease that and correct ourselves, right? Resolution, exactly. So if you are in a relationship with someone, for example, who doesn't like to admit that they're wrong, right? It's like, okay, it's very clear that you're wrong. Why are you not admitting that you're wrong? Then what you're looking at is cognitive dissonance. And this is important to understand that to some degree or another, we all have this because, again, it's very uncomfortable in the human experience to think, okay, for example, I'm a really good person who, one example could be, I'm a strong environmentalist. And then all of a sudden you learn that you worked for a company for 10 years that is just like villainously polluting the planet, right? Now, what happens in a situation like that with cognitive dissonance is that if you hate your job and you already have another job opportunity, you'll just quit. But what happens if you actually are super invested in this? What happens if you love your job, right? Is that...
And they're giving you a big paycheck.
And they're giving you a big paycheck. So for a number of things can happen to ease the comfort of cognitive dissonance. We've all seen it in one way, shape, or another. Is that maybe perhaps you'll reason to yourself, well, there are other companies out there that are doing worse things than my company is, right? We're not the worst. Or maybe you'll say, my company does a lot of good actually, and so there's a little bit of harm going on, but there's actually they're providing a lot of jobs and doing a lot of good in the world. Or you might just go, you know what? Maybe I'm not an environmentalist quite so strongly after all. You may kind of change your identity. Now, what determines a person's ability to change change. And I really want to make this clear that developing emotional intelligence gives you an opportunity to grow. So it means that whenever you face new information about the world or who you are in the world, you feel the discomfort, but rather than actually starting to throw up smoke screens and back away and go, no, I'm not wrong, right? You actually sit with the feeling state that comes up, because when you break down emotional intelligence, it's into three parts, right? So first, there's the ability to understand it. So you need that self-awareness to go, I'm feeling an emotion, and be able to actually dissect that emotion. Instead of just saying, I feel bad, maybe you feel, I feel anxiety, I feel jealousy, and I feel despair. You're breaking it down into actually understanding, and studies show that if you're able to do that, if you're able to label what you're looking at, it actually helps to ease the discomfort and the cognitive stress that would typically otherwise come with it.
We have been seeing that cognitive dissonance in politics for a long time.
Yes.
More so now than ever before.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Now that you know, start to look around and see. But the most important thing is to notice it in yourself, to be aware of when someone challenges you. One of the things that you can do is to remember that the brain is pretty tricky in keeping us nice and neatly aligned to, oh, no, I'm a good person. I would not do that, right? Or I'm a very careful person. That's not in my nature. I don't know what you're talking about, right? Instead of doing that, to really stop and consider that even though you have this feeling that you want to protect, you have this emotion arising that feels like, confrontation, no, defensiveness. Instead of that, just recognize that you don't want to fall prey to the brain's tricks, that the brain is actually very, very prone to biases, and there's a good chance that you are operating according to a bias. It's better to investigate and to make a decision based on facts and reality, rather than to fall to the tricks of the brain.
Till it becomes convenient for some people. The current president wouldn't pardon the president-elect Donald Trump, but now he pardons his son. So it's all changed.
Yeah.
The rules have changed.
Oh, yes, of course.
To
yes.
be
Human
convenient
nature.
for the person who's the benefactor.
Always, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, human nature.
The mind does what the mind wants to do.
That's right.
All right, we'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Good topic today. Don't go away. Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality. All right, welcome back to Good Vibes. Martin False again, Debbie Cox de Novo. We are talking about developing emotional intelligence. So, all right, especially in politics, you see it, but I think we all know people that just lie all the time. They lie so much, they believe their own lie.
Yeah.
They get to the point where they've convinced themselves that the lie is real.
Yeah.
When everybody around them is going, that's a bunch of BS. But is that fit into there somewhere?
It does. Yeah. Yeah. So it's been shown actually even in studies that the brain will actually trick you into believing a different, a revised version of the past. There was a paper that was done in 2014 on 121 students who did not want tuition to increase. And they were given the assignment to write a paper on why they wanted tuition to increase. By the end of the paper, they actually demonstrated afterward that they had actually flipped themselves over to believing that tuition increase was actually a good idea. But more than that, what was interesting more than that is that they disremembered, most of them disremembered that they even originally were against tuition increases to begin with. So once the identity is, and this is how some people are really good at changing. Like they'll feel the discomfort of cognitive dissonance and they go, you know what? You're right. You're right. I think that maybe I should reevaluate this and change course, right? That's where the opportunity for growth is.
Right.
But what will happen sometimes if you're very invested, if you actually are really invested into the identity that you have, like, I'm a staunch Republican or I'm a staunch Democrat, then what you can do, what will often happen is that you, first of all, you'll do what's called selective exposure. So you'll listen to news sources that only are about what you already believe and dismiss everything else. But even more than that, if you have something that is, someone tells you something that is completely going to prove that what you believe is wrong, the brain will just dismiss it. Just dismiss it. So you have to be very aware that this is how we were wired. We don't like the uneasiness of inconsistency. We're trying to create consistency within ourselves.
But if you have cognitive dissonance and you're highly competitive and can't admit when you're wrong, that's poison.
Yeah, it can be. It really can be.
Dynamite.
It really, really can be for yourself and for other people. So this is really a good reason why the feelings that arise in you don't have to be feelings that are or thoughts that you actually bite onto and think are true, because then a lot of them really just are not true. And so if you want to develop emotional intelligence, and there's plenty of research to show all the reasons that you should want to do that, right? Higher performance, more success, more connectivity, happier, more well balanced and well adjusted, then it's good, first of all, to actually be aware of the feelings that arise in you, the emotions. So before you actually go off and react full blown, notice, feeling angry. Remember, we talked about just the labeling of it actually brings your prefrontal cortex activity on, which lowers the activity in your amygdala, the seat of your emotions. So it makes you calm down, right? So you identify and you really deconstruct it. Like we said, instead of just being like, oh, I feel bad, what exactly does bad mean? And break it down. And this is a really good thing for you at home who have children. Start to teach them the words that actually can describe the experience states that they're feeling. Because the more language they have to label it, the more that they are going to be able to regulate their own emotions. So like be able to tease it out.
I can remember Dad as a kid. He did it to all his kids. I guess he did it to me too.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question. I don't want to lie. Who broke the window in the back with the baseball? And we got programmed after a while. Okay, just fess up. Being honest is a lot less painful than if you lie and you get caught.
Exactly.
So some people just can't tell the truth.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that and so to be able to really recognize that the opportunity for growth is better than you basically protecting your ego is really important. But then after you've actually dissected and deconstructed, like what am I actually feeling, to know where it registers in the body. Right? So what does it feel like to be angry? Maybe you feel flush in your face. Maybe you have a tightening of the jaw. Maybe your fists are clenched, right? If you're sad, maybe it feels like the energy is drained out. Your body is very heavy, right? And you just feel like doing nothing. What do these energies feel like in the body? Because that way we can harness those emotions and move them toward action. Remember, emotions are always trying to get us to do something course corrective, the lower vibration emotions. And you can do something called energy plotting, where you actually break it down. Is it a high intensity energy or is it a low intensity energy? Is it a positive emotion or a negative emotion? Remembering that we don't want to label emotions good or bad because they're all useful, right? But the negative ones, of course, are the ones that we typically call bad, right? So it's like the anger and the sadness and the jealousy and the despair. All of those would be low. Now, despair and sadness would be low energy, negative ones, right? Anger, rage, right? Those would be high energy, right? And then on the other side is the positive ones, and the high energies would be enthusiasm, excitement, right? And then peace and joy might be on the lower.
I can handle anger better than I can handle somebody moping.
Yeah.
Somebody's angry. Well, that's their true emotion. They come to you with a true, but if they're moping all the time, to me, that's like arcing my battery and blowing it up.
It is a lower vibration experience to be in the mope than to be in anger. Anger is usually supposed to be a transient energy that moves you up. So that's why
it'll move you and it's over with.
Right.
But the mope are just
Yeah.
Well, I'm all right. I got to do it. You know,
It's more difficult, right?
you want to go, ah!
Exactly.
Yeah.
Main thing, you want to make sure that you understand that regulating your emotions, harnessing them, that these are opportunities for your personal growth. So whenever you feel that cognitive dissonance or you feel discomfort in your emotions, step back and recognize that you're faced with an opportunity to become a better person.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right. See you next week.
Yes.
All right. There you have it. Good vibes. We'll see you next week.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.